Hi, it's Steph. Welcome back to my garden. So today I've decided that I'm going to take a winter garden stroll. We all know that gardens look beautiful in the spring, summer, and well into the fall. But in my zone, zone 6 in New England, the winter is kind of a drab time. There's not really much going on. Let's take a look. So in this bed here, I usually have some Weigela and some cat's pajamas, Nepeta, some knockout roses, and some salvia. There's also this beautiful shrub that's a Sem False Spirea that is absolutely stunning, but it certainly has a tendency to take off. It sends runners in the ground, and the plant has a mind of its own. It will get super large if I don't size control it, so I do cut it back pretty hard anytime that it's done blooming, which is usually end of spring, beginning of summer. I'll pop a picture up on the screen of what it looks like. It's stunning. There's this beautiful Colorado blue spruce in the corner that's certainly gotten much too big for the space that it's in. This is a tale as old as time. You go to the nursery, you find a beautiful shrub. It looks so cute and itty bitty in its can. The tag tells you that it's a dwarf. And then you plant it and it's super happy, and this is what happens. So I'm guessing at some point we are certainly going to have to take it down, but it's such a beauty that I want to leave it up as long as possible. And then this beautiful weeping blue Atlas cedar and a Norway spruce in the corner. So this is our right side front bed. We have a fire glow Japanese maple that the deer like to chomp on, so we did have some netting around it in the spring. In my first few years of gardening, I thought that I should only need to spray in spring and summer, but it turns out that fall and winter are a terrible time for deer browsing. They're very hungry because there's not a lot to eat, and so they start turning to trees and shrubs. So this is an elderberry, a black lace elderberry, and I love it so much because the foliage resembles Japanese maples, or at least it looks that way to me. So it's a dark foliage against this blue evergreen, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. So this is the foundation side of the house, and again the plan is just to have evergreen shrubs lining this area. Not much going on in our veggie garden, but I'll show you what it looks like in its resting phase. So we do flip over our bird bath, which I would recommend if you live in an area that gets a lot of freezing temperatures, because I don't want it to crack. So I just flip it over to prevent any sitting water, so that if it freezes and melts, it doesn't, you know, damage the concrete. But this is my pollinator bed, and it's a whole bunch of nothing. I've left all the seed heads on so that there's something for birds to graze on. I'll clean it all up in the spring. And in the garden, I overwintered some plants that I didn't get a chance to plant out in the landscape. So I have some heuchera, some grasses. I have Japanese Hanakloa grass, as well as some blue fescues that I grew from seed. The bunnies do like to snack on blue fescue, so I'm going to have to you know, be diligent about spraying those. And I have this beautiful carex that a friend shared with me, and so I'm going to find a home for that this spring as well. Other than that, there's a whole lot of nothing going on in here, but in a couple more days it'll be spring and we'll have some more to look at. So my Swiss chard is actually still trying to do a little something, but I haven't touched it in a little bit. And it looks like my mint is going to survive. Mint is very invasive, so I kept the mint in this grow box so that it's contained to that one spot. I'm also happy to see that my rosemary looks absolutely beautiful. Rosemary isn't always hardy in our zone 6, but this year it seems to be happy. I often get asked what this black stuff on the floor is and what our plan is for this area. Our lot was a completely wooded lot when we built our home, and so this area back here was really gnarly. We used to have our boys' swing set in this back area, and there was these weeds that were like thorns that used to catch anytime that you got too close to them. So my husband and I kind of worked on clearing a lot of those very invasive barberry weeds, and so in order to prevent them from coming back, we put down some professional grade, or I should say greenhouse grade landscape fabric. And so this has been doing a great job of retaining the weeds over the last few years. I mean, they still come through, but not as bad as if we didn't have any kind of physical barrier. So I just have some daffodils around this tree, some brunnera, some geranium. I have a rhododendron here. I also have a St. John's plant, St. John's wort, yeah, and some ferns. So this is kind of like a woodland bed. And again, it's winter. It's not doing much, but it will look a lot prettier once we clean it up. I also have some columbine that I planted from bare root. It looks like it's starting to throw up some shoots, so that's exciting. Always good to see bare root plants break the surface, because it's not always the case. I also have some bleeding hearts in here, now that I'm remembering. I also planted some bare root bleeding hearts. And we can see some of the daffodils. So this is a bed that I also worked on in the back border of our lawn, and I have a lot of shade, part sun loving plants here. So I have some hellebore, and it's almost time for me to clean these up. While they are evergreen, the foliage can get kind of tattered, so I do spend some time cleaning these up in late winter. But look, we have some hellebore blooms budding up. This type is called Ivory Prince. I love, love, love hellebore. In fact, so these were my first varieties. That's an iris that needs to be cleaned up. And so I loved the hellebore so much that last year, my birthday is in February. And so my husband asked me what I wanted. And of course, you know, when you're an adult, you pretty much get what you need. So there's never any gifts that you can ask for. But I did ask for some hellebore, and I'm excited to see that they're putting on some blooms, because they didn't bloom last year. I think they were relatively new plants. A lot of leaf cleanup and branches that have to be dealt with. But yeah, so that one had a bloom. This one doesn't look like it has any yet. So, you know, I think when they're new plants, it might take a couple of years for them to bloom. But this one is called True Love Wedding Party. Yeah, so that's like a red burgundy color. I don't love red plants, but that one is stunning. This one doesn't have any buds yet, so they might just be coming a little later. This one is Confetti Cake. They were all the Wedding Party series, I know that. So he bought me 4 of these last year. This one is Honeymoon Roman Red, the Honeymoon series. So I'll come out here in a few more weeks. That one's the only one that I can see a bloom on. This is Tropical Sunset. So like a red edged yellow, creamy yellow type bloom. So in a few more weeks, I will come out here and take care of the leaves that look like they need to be cut back and fertilize these guys. So there's 4 new ones in this corner. And I have one that I recently got at Trader Joe's that is white. That one's a Christmas rose, and these here are called Lenten rose. And in case you didn't know, there is a difference, and it mostly has to do with the season that they bloom in. And so I'll add another one here this spring. Currently I just have it over in the holding pen. I have some trees in this area too. This is a Japanese maple bihu and a Japanese maple verdes, which is a green variety. I have this dogwood that was a super baby when I got it, and it's on its 3rd or 4th year. So I'm hoping that it's happy now and it starts putting on some thickness to that trunk. The caliber is quite small, but it's strong and sturdy because we get like pretty serious winds around here, and they do great. Some lamium ground cover, some japonica. I have 2 here, and these are beautiful. Winter interest can't be beat. And some ground cover. I have some burgundy glow ajuga, some golden lamium, also known as dead nettle, some black scallop ajuga that looks like something nibbled on it. I have one there, and I have another here that doesn't look, looks like it needs to be maybe topped up with some additional compost. This is the life of a gardener. We always have our fingernails with dirt under them because we're always fixing things. And it looks like I have a little dogwood seedling. I'm gonna let those go in case this mother tree doesn't make it. We have some babies. I have a magnolia here also, and I have a couple of hydrangea that just look like a bunch of twigs in winter. So this is my shade bed. This is also some columbine, and it looks like it's putting out some green. Those are pretty early spring blooms. They have a beautiful purple flower, so that's coming back. See, that's why I leave the foliage or the leaves on them, because it kind of protects and insulates the plant. And what that's helpful for is it starts putting out its green foliage because it's a little bit warmer under those leaves. Okay, so this is my newer garden area that we're working on. So my husband does not enjoy gardening. He just likes to have a nice lawn. But I found some common ground between us, and that is Japanese maples. So this is a project that him and I are working on together. And so this is the beginning stages of our Japanese maple garden. So last year we added about 9 Japanese maples and I'll make a video of the varieties at another time. We have to make a compilation of those. But in any case, this is in the beginning stages, and there's a lot more work to be done here. We're going to add a path this spring with some stone, and I think it'll look beautiful. This is a golden weeping spruce. There's not much going on in the winter with the Japanese maples, but some of them do have some pretty color with their new shoots, like this Katsura. We added these steps here so that you can come down the path and enter our patio. The patio also is growing such beautiful moss that I really like. These beds didn't used to be here, but we added them recently. I wanted to sort of nestle our garden shed in the middle of some plantings. So we have some little lime hydrangea here. Some Hamlin grass and some iris. We also have a bed on this side of the shed with some grasses and some sedum and some astilbe. I also have a hardy hibiscus in the corner and a hydrangea. The winter greens in my window boxes are still looking really good, and as long as it stays cold and they're stuck in some dirt and get watered once in a while, they don't really dry out and look really pretty and offer some interest in these cold winter months. So here is the view looking from our patio to the Japanese garden, and so this is going to look a lot different by this time next year. so long as we can, you know, tackle what we want to in the coming spring. Things that I didn't have a chance to plant, some plants that I purchased on clearance, which is my favorite way to find plants. I have a Steed's holly and an Alberta spruce. I'm pretty excited about this little guy. A Goshiki false holly. I have them in this corner because see how it's getting a little bit of leaf burn? I don't think it's hardy in my zone. It says down to a 7, but the blue box store in my area was selling it even though we're in a zone 6. So because I was able to get it at 75% off, I figured I'd give it a try. And if it makes it through the winter, I'm going to plant it on that foundation side, which is my south side of the house, and it gets the, you know, the most sun and is pretty warm throughout the day. So we will try it there. I also have this evergreen shrub that may go into my Japanese garden area or somewhere else, and a Miss Kim lilac that is all budded up. So this area is away from a lot of wind and cold, but it still gets some water, and if I feel that things are dry, I'll come over here with my watering can and give them a drink. Here's my Trader Joe's Christmas hellebore, Christmas rose. It still has some blooms. Feeling the dirt. Yep, it's pretty moist, so I think it's good. And some golden carex that I divided. And I was going to keep it inside, but I figured, you know what? Let it sink or swim outside. If it makes it through the winter, then I know it's hardy. I'm not a fan of hardening off plants, bringing them in and out. These evergreens, they were getting chewed up by deer in my back bed. So I moved them here by the back door so that they'll fill up these pots. I'll show you what they'll look like when they're not getting eaten by deer. This is what they look like. Nice and full, and they have a round shape. So these are flanking our steps to our walkway. So I'm hoping that the ones by the back door will get this full as well. But deer sure do a number on certain plants and shrubs. This is my patio bed. So this is our back patio. And not much going on here. We have a Japanese maple, and I have some roses and some daylily in here. Lots of coneflower, some hydrangeas. But my carex looks great. In this bed we have some drainage issues, a lot of sitting water, so we're going to try to improve that this coming spring. And but the carex likes a lot of water, so it's happy. And if it's happy, I'm happy. And here is my lavender, which is evergreen in my season, and it has such a beautiful blue-gray color. It's evergreen in my zone, I should say. I grew this from seed. It's a Munstead lavender, and this is the 3rd year it's been here. And while they like dry conditions, I don't want to jinx it, but this bed's pretty wet, and you know, it's still looking okay. I do cut it down to the bottom in early spring and fertilize it to prevent it from getting too woody. And I have some more foxglove in the corner here that they may or not make it. I'm not sure. I planted them in the fall, and maybe they'll put out some new growth come spring. And the daffodils are starting to pop up here too. Right there you can see another one. So I just circled around my property. I started on the left side bed, on the right side bed rather, and now I'm going to show you my 2 left side beds to finish up. So I have some evergreens here, also some nepeta, some spirea, some daisies, and some hydrangea. This bed was my most recent bed that I worked on last 2 springs. It's been getting a little bit of a rework. And it's finally how I like it. This weeping blue spruce, I just planted it this fall, right here where that spirea is now used to be a weeping cherry tree. It only looked nice for 2 weeks in the spring, and then it was so gnarly and the trunk got really thick that I just didn't enjoy it anymore. So in place of that, I put in this pretty evergreen. Here I have my other main walkway bed. And this is a hinoki cypress and some more shrubs with some more foxglove. Come spring, I will chop all this foxglove back to its new foliage and do a good cleanup. Prune back my roses. I have a bunch of knockout roses in this front bed. My Japanese maple. I don't know what those shrubs are called, but I love them. I love the way that the branches point. I love the way that it turns this bronze color in this time of year in the winter. It just offers a lot of interest. Anytime I garden out here, my pup loves to watch me. And there he is. There's my Rocco in the window, watching his mom doing what she loves. And so here we are back at the front door. So I'm gonna go park my boots, and I hope that you've enjoyed my winter garden stroll. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Take care.